the three pillars that we talk about. And to bring people together to talk about cultural democracy and what are the roles that people who work for institutions, ethnically diverse institutions, can bring to the table.
And it needs to represent all of the folk of color, Asians, Native Americans, you name it. And we need to put out a clarion call for people to come. And that was bold at that time. We need to talk to each other. And we gathered. Kennedy Center hosted, D.C. Commission hosted, and we said, we didn't have a name at that point. We said, this needs to be a conversation. What should we call it? And that's when we coined the phrase, open dialogue.
I attended several TAAC conferences, not all of them, but over the years I want to mention a couple that particularly touched me. In Columbus, Ohio, at the institution of Barbara Nicholson, who's here today, the Martin Luther King Complex for the Arts. So in Texas, first in San Antonio, which is it's the first TAAC that I remember.
It was a time of great joy because we had come together at a National State Arts Agency meeting in New Orleans. And the topic of that meeting, the first time such a topic had happened since in the nation's history, was cultural diversity in the arts.
Expecting that that conference would represent us and define us in a way that was with respect and honor. And I think that was their intentions. But the road to hell was paved with good intentions.
The meeting was a very, very good meeting. It was very well attended. However, it left an awful lot to be desired. There were a few of us, very, very few, and I understand today there's even less people of color working in state arts agencies in executive positions today than it was when we began. But the small group that were in attendance had the opportunity to get together in one of those late evening kind of chit-chats. And surprisingly, as opposed to it turning into a session that denigrated what was there, the real question was, what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? And who among us were willing to work in a collective to begin to assess what the situation is and how we might best move forward.
And then we decided to meet, I don't remember the time frame, in San Antonio, Texas. And at that point we decided that in San Antonio, Texas, that it needed to be formalized. And we met in D.C., in New York, in my living room, and we said, we got to have a formal name. And either A.B. Spellman or Van Hal Whitfield said, if you're in D.C., you got to have credibility. And we looked around and we said, you know what, we got Native Americans, Latinos, Asian, Pacific Islanders, African Americans. We need to be, who is any more American than us? So we need to be the Association of American Cultures. And when we learn to talk to each other and care about each other, then we can invite other people to the table. And that's how it started.
So TAAC has been a point of wisdom for me. I'm now at the point where I want to listen. I don't want to talk. I need to open my ears and hear what you have to say, all of us. As we look forward to sustaining the original vision of TAAC, I'm reminded of the importance of cultural equity and also honoring our cultural legacies, for which there are many. I look forward to our continued conversation and our open dialogue, and I thank you all for the work that you do in your own homes. Thank you.
What I'd like us to do is pair off together and talk about what worked in your organization or what kind of program you've operated, both success stories or stories that didn't work so well in terms of capacity building. I
wanted to know if you have alliances or any kind of organizations with your organization who are in the Roseland community or some of these communities who are going through this extreme violent situation. I live in the West Pullman area, so I'm really
You're my
close.
Neighbor. I live in Pullman.
Okay, so you know what we're going through.
I went to the panel that talked about transition and longevity of programs, and I also went to one that was about grassroots fundraising. And that was very helpful because so many of our organizations have limited budgets and limited resources, and to really make the most of limited resources, I found that panel to be very helpful.
Grassroots is something that we're really trying to get our board members to understand and recognize, that we can make a really big impact through $10, $20 donations as opposed to just looking for the big corporate $10,000 and $20,000. So what I learned today, what I really like, is I would like us to go back and identify specific programs that Congo Square offers so that our donors can decide exactly where their $10 are going to go. And I can see that in our education program we called Ensemble in Action, in which students go into, our teaching artists go into schools. We also have the opportunity for young people to attend professional theater, which they don't do that often in the south and west side of Chicago.
Just trying to get a lot of information about how to do this, because we did it twice. We did 10,000, we did 10 by 2 in 2008, and we raised 15,000. In 2009, we got so excited we decided to do 15 in 3 weeks, and we didn't make it. So, and so that widget is a thing that really bugged me, because I know that when people see you're not making it, they don't give. They don't think the other way, which is, oh, let me help them make their target.
I signed up to attend the Open Dialogue Conference to learn about other initiatives going on to help the exchange of cultures, as well as to learn about other activities going on in the arts world, specifically around culturally relevant or culturally specific organizations. What I hope to gain is a kind of learning of other practices going on across the city and country, as well as building relationships and an expanded network.
Our government leaders, when's the last time you invited a government leader to one of your shows or to something? And that kind of thing is what I'm trying to say, is we just need to start making more invitations, because it's like it's like that rule. What's the rule of marketing? You do 10,000 invitations, rule of 10%.
We're following the women in their display of obedience, marking it with shrieks and yelps, chanting and calling for something in their footsteps, hips crying for touch. I would be so caught up in watching the dance that I would be even more offbeat than usual, my part of the drums tripping over my eyelid.
A lot of contacts, a lot of really good information I think will help me in thinking through my own program, looking for ways of borrowing, learning, connecting with others over the internet. And the other aspects, I think, are some of the challenges that people have faced here and how they've addressed them and dealing with. I was really interested this morning in the one of the people who spoke about the change in leadership with TAAC, opening up to the younger voices and the generational change and what that means. So I think that's something that's important to where I am working as well.
I guess my question is more geared towards the generational collaboration. So with each of your organizations, do you have maybe like junior boards? How are you engaging the youth and the future leaders of that want to go into the fields that you go into? Because I see myself and the people in my peer group that try to break into those. We're not given the opportunity to really shine and contribute like we want to, or given the opportunity to lead and be leaders, and it keeps us from really being able to engage with you in the way that we would really like to.
I've gained a lot of insight into the challenges that some of the organizations that are attending here feel that they face, and particularly because we fund a lot of teen programs like yours, it gives me a sense of kind of the history from those who've been here in this profession for 30 years and those who are brand new, and it helps me figure out how your generation is going to take it to the next level.
I feel that teaching artistry and art making and creativity is inherent to community building and community organizing and undoing racism and undoing oppression. And so a conversation entitled Art and Civic Engagement seems really appropriate to me, and I'd love to hear how that resonates in each one of us in our own capacities, in our own lives as artists and arts administrators and youth development workers and youth allies in the variety of communities that we work with and intersect with.
Artists are the voices of our community, and so artists provide a voice, and TAAC is part of that. It provides a voice for our community. So I think TAAC speaking out is critical. So as a voice.
And that was one of the primary reasons why I got involved with TAAC, was the arts and the artists, and to learn about the wonderful artistic opportunities we have in America.
The need to gather as a community, and often as a world community. I believe great stories and great art help us to better understand our relationship to each other. The world that I envision is a place where we better understand each other. I believe great stories and great art will help us along that path. I have found that our culture defines us, but our humanity connects us. Cultural democracy in the times we live in can be found in the experiences we have to freely enjoy the art and traditions of others. Artists, art lovers, understand this. It's up to us, and only us. We must also collaborate and learn from one another as we continue to mobilize to increase understanding of the importance of the arts and garner the support of our local communities. In this 21st century society, let us proclaim that the arts and culture industry is very important to our world. We must start to articulate clearly our worth. Find the words. Creative thinking and creative expression are values worth more than gold, and we, the people, must protect these values as they are at the heart and foundation of which our country is built. We nurture creative thinking, we solve the problems of the world. If we make music, we communicate universally. Artists must be given the green light to try, to attempt, to explore. Young children must be reminded and encouraged to think creatively. Young playwrights must be rewarded for exploration and encouraged to stay at it. A painter needs to be able to paint her canvas and have the resources to raise her children. Exposure to the arts must be promoted to develop better, more creative, dynamic lawyers, more creative, dynamic mayors, more creative, dynamic bankers and accountants. What do we have to offer? Theater reinforces the good about collaboration. On the surface, a work of art may entertain and may educate too, but when we go to a play or an opera or purchase a piece of art, what do we expect to receive? Sometimes we receive the intangible, an exuberant feeling, whatever it may be, but it's something. It connects us to each other, to that which is human, a piece of life, piece of joy, piece of love. And it's not important to define it, but to know that it's there. Art allows us to receive a fleeting piece of what we all look forward to in life, our connectedness to each other. We strengthen our bond to each other as humans, and we encourage possibility. We all must do our part to promote, sustain, and advocate for the arts. I'm asking you in this room to take the extra step. We can do more. We can say more. We can make more happen. America needs our voice.
People realizing that and knowing that there's a place that we can come together, we can convene, we can coalesce, and people have experiences like mine, and people understand me for who I am, and you know, and that, I mean, I don't know if you can quantify that.
But being here at this gathering, and listening to people talk about sort of summary statements of their experience here sort of revives that sort of spirit that we all have, and it's always touched when we go to important gatherings and where we share our dreams and our ideas and our anger and our passion, and you walk away lifted by all of that.
I think the conference is a platform to launch further discussions. I think after this conference is over, many of us will go back to our communities and continue those conversations and continue those round tables about what we can do to be better, how we can sort of synergize our efforts to create a healthier, more diverse, more wonderful country.